Hello, this is Pharaoh Vincent with Nation 506, and I'm coming to you with an update in AOZ, specifically regarding our merger Chaoslands and whether or not our strategy worked. Just to give everyone kind of a quick heads up, we'll kind of go through the results, and then we'll spend the last portion of the video looking at some battle reports that I saved. And yes, I handpicked some because there was tons of them, and I picked some of the better ones because I can. Just because there's some really nasty ones, but really there's a lot of like 0 hits and a lot of just misses, so I figured we can go through some of these. But to start with, results. We got last place. I'm not upset about this last place, though. We were second through rounds 1 and 2. Round 3, we just didn't have the population to fight anymore. Not nearly as many cities were still awake or alive. We have a lot of Japanese players, and that's just not a good time for them to play. So really, we struggled through round 3. That and 473 just showed up in the last round. Nation 500 was just strong the whole time. But we'll talk about a couple round breakdowns, just to specifically go over a little bit about why this played out the way it did. Individual ranking wise, this is the overall. As you can see, the C38 AKE is on top. My boy Champ, my boy Small, Homegirl, Squirrel Girl, right, are all up there. Janus got a lot of points. I don't know how much that's deserved, but we'll go through that in a minute too, because long story short, he got caught out for a good solid, I don't know, 16, 17 minutes where he was constantly being attacked, and he was just healing through it. So all of the points he earned were on defense, but I guarantee you he gave up, I mean, billions more than he earned. Has to be at least $1 billion. That dude must have gone through like 6 years worth of saved speed ups, it felt like. But alliance ranking. This is the interesting part about this, because if you remember who won is 473. So the top alliance was actually our crazy idea where we got all of our fighters together. So I would say it worked. Again, we lost not because we weren't strong fighters. We lost because we didn't have much else outside of our top alliance. And 500 suffered from a similar but not the exact same problem. Again, they showed up in force. They had a lot of people. But at the end of the day, the combined efforts of SRA and JRA won out. And then, of course, things break down from there. The key elements here to talk about, though, really came into what was the strategy. So the round 1 fights were just chaotic. It was kind of normal Chaoslands, for lack of a better phrase. JRA showed up a little bit. SRA was kind of around, but they weren't really around in force. Those guys really showed up in rounds 2 and 3. Round 2, I was not participating in. I can only go into 2 rounds, so I did 1 and 3. From my understanding, SRA and JRA did tandem attacks, where they would have one alliance attack a city first. The second alliance would arrive to the city right afterwards, which would effectively zero somebody out every single time they hit. And they did this speed attack style. So one would come in, smash into the backside of them. The other one would come in right afterwards. And it really messed up a lot of people until strategies were figured out to where they could, use lower amounts of troops on people that were close to 0. And that's how we kind of got some points back and really managed to stay in second. And this is the round where 500 didn't do great. If they had got, more than 700 million points in that round as a nation, I think they would have easily been the first, right? There was only 100 million point spread. It wasn't far. It was close. But they really had a very poor round 2 versus their round 1, which was stellar, and their round 3, which was actually really good too. The big issue was round 2 kind of shot them in the foot. Again, population. Population's the big thing that won that out. So big congratulations to 473. They had the players to do that. It is funny how the world with the top alliance is the third, the world with the second alliance is second, and the world with 3 and 4 is currently number 1. But that is how it played out. Very close fights. Let's look at a couple. And again, I apologize that I cherry-picked some reports specifically because I just didn't want to have a bunch of clutter on the screen where we go through it and, you see a bunch of different reports. I wanted to make sure that we kind of grab some fun ones. I'm actually starting off strong. I hit AKE with like my last 2 cannons just because I could. So that was kind of fun. That was like the end of my day because I had just gotten zeroed out a couple of times. It was rough. And you can see some of these different battles where we're getting close, right? And in this particular instance, outnumbered, it makes that a little bit harder. But really, it wouldn't have been that much different. The person who joined isn't it was enough that I would have actually taken an even fight against Gord here. But statistically, right, you get these guys and they're up in 761's not bad. These are really decent stats in my humble opinion. This guy's strong. But it's certainly something where we were competing with each other. So, same thing, this particular guy, this is right before I got zeroed out too. He was coming in and I went ahead and recalled early, caught him, and then my phone disconnected. And right after this is when I lost 1.5 million troops. But fun moments there. And if you guys are wondering why you see a lot of defeats on fights that I theoretically could have won, we'll watch this one. I think this one was probably a winnable fight. You try to hit people when they send out for attacks. That way you can catch their Titan, or catch them without their Titans and get them back down to this. So this is the goal of every single report, is you want reinforcements to show up while you're hitting their backline. So while you're on their cannons, while you're on their snipers, while you're on their troops. But in this case, I actually recalled. You can see the retreat. And I did so just because there's reinforcements coming. Here's another one, again, similar kind of story where, when you get in there, you're really trying to hit them, where you catch them before the defenders get in, and when you can get back to their back row quickly, right? The faster you get back to their back row, the better, because, as people start popping in, right, you're already hitting their cannons, and over here, their rockets and their zombies and their distraction units are all just kind of doing nothing while you eat out the center of their fleet. Trying to think. I think we'll end it on the highest damage one, which is actually my very first hit that I did. So this, again, same thing, where you're going to see I'm catching people as they're attacking. And this is what happens when you get caught with your troops. This is why you have to hide your troops. Because if somebody catches you and gets into the core of your city like this, and they get into the core of all of your troops, just like this is, you can see all of your distraction troops are over there on the side. They're not doing much of anything. And they kind of get stacked up to where, the Titan lasers, right? The big beam cannon and all that stuff is just crossing over all of your troops. It makes it really effective to fight this way. So that's why I do highly recommend, if you ever get the opportunity and you see somebody fresh into Chaoslands or fresh into a frenzy and they just sent out their troops, it's okay to try to hit them, right? You're fishing for damage. And that's kind of the best way to handle it, is just fish for those kind of hits and really just make sure that you pop out before too many reinforcements show up and, hurt you. Because you can really hurt some people by doing this. And as far as how I get my withdrawal cards, I actually get them from the black market trade. So I just spend resources on them. It saves you 500 gold a pop. And I have, I'm trying to think, it's under war if I remember right. I still have 35. So, I have quite a few of them. But that is the best tactic. Get in there, hit them while their troops are there, and then as those reinforcements are coming in, don't be afraid to withdraw, especially if you don't already have a score streak built up. Now, I will say, if you're trying to go for like the most points possible, just don't lose and keep fighting. But it's hard for me to do that, so that's why I go for scrimmage tactics. Either way, that's kind of what I wanted to go over. Again, huge congratulations to 473. What's next? As we go into 473 here on March 3rd, I will be doing a bit of a warrior's pilgrimage. I plan on joining some of the top alliances for a brief period of time, exploring quite a few of these places, seeing, which ones we can improve, which ones we can help, where we can go to really get to know all of the new folks as well, get some content ideas, and fight alongside new allies. So I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, really that's about it. So I appreciate everyone. If you can, feel free to subscribe, like the video, comment. It all helps the channel grow. And I really appreciate all your guys' support. Have a good rest of your night.